and sometimes the patients are like, what is going on? I've been here forever. Welcome back to my channel. If you haven't seen any of my videos before, my name is Natalie. I am a family nurse practitioner, and basically the goal of my channel is to help pre-nursing, nursing, as well as FNP students get through school as easily as possible. I also take a look at personal statements and resumes, so if that's something that you'd like done, please take a look at the description box down below, and there's a whole process telling you how that can be done. So for today's video, I thought I would discuss why does it take so long to be seen at the doctor's. I know for a patient's perspective, sometimes you feel like you're there for hours and sometimes maybe you are. But I just kind of wanted to let you know different reasons why it could be taking so long at the doctor's, because I know sometimes, I know that before I started school, I was thinking, why is this taking so long? Like, are they just sitting there? Are they on their phone? Are they doing other things? Like, what is going on? Why is it taking so long? So now that I've been a student and I've gone through the process, I understand there's a lot of behind the scenes things that we need to do on our end, which those little bits of time can take up a long time and they add up, and sometimes the patients are like, what is going on? I've been here forever. So I just wanted to discuss different things and different ways that it could feel like you're taking forever to see the patient. As it's good for patients and it's good for people that are FNP students to understand that there's a lot going on behind the scenes, so you can let your patient know we're not just sitting there doing nothing. Like, we're getting a lot of behind the scenes things taken care of. So let's talk about it. So the first thing I want to discuss to kind of get it out of the way is a patient variant of why it could be taking so long. So if you are there and you are a patient and you are a new patient, you have a lot of things that you need to do. They need to get your insurance, they need to get your ID, they need to get all the information, all the history about you, which takes a long time before you even see the physician. So that's just going to take a long time in itself. So I think it's very important to stress that when the doctor's office calls you and says, please come 15-30 minutes early, that you do so. It is not for you to just sit there and do nothing. It's to really get all of the information that you need in a timely manner, so that when you actually have your appointment time, that is all taken care of, and that part can be quicker. Because if your appointment is at 2 o'clock and you show up at 2 o'clock, you probably need 30 minutes to get all the information done. Now you're going to probably see the patient at 2:45, and if someone has an appointment at 2:30, you're kind of delaying everybody else. So it's not to say that it's patient's fault, because that's not the case all the time, but it is a certain factor of what could be delayed on the next patient's viewpoint if someone from before is late and they're kind of backing everybody up. So that's one thing to really keep in mind if you are a patient. It really is a significant importance of you going in there 15 minutes early, 30 minutes early, because they're trying to take into account you possibly getting there maybe a little bit later than that earlier time frame, and also they're gauging all that you need to fill out, and they know, because they work there every single day, they know what information you need to fill out and how long it usually takes. So if they tell you 15 minutes early or 30 minutes early, it's for a reason. So please get there on time so that you're not delaying yourself and that you're not delaying patients throughout the day. The next thing that can be taking a long time, especially if you're a new patient, is just documenting everything into the chart. So if you're a patient, you already did all the beginning steps that you need to do. Now you're seeing the physician. When you go through all the information, all the things that you're concerned with, all of your history, it takes time to put the information into the chart. Some people have it where the medical assistants do it, sometimes they don't and the physician does it, but someone has to put the information somehow, and that's going to take up time, whether it's on the MA's end or the physician's end, because if it's on the MA's end, then the physician needs time to look over what the MA wrote, and if it's on the physician's end, they need to listen to all the information you're giving to them, as well as typing through and gauging to see what they need to do with your care. So regardless, this is more for anyone that's a new patient, because it just takes longer no matter what. So just keep that in mind. So I got cut off there, but basically at the end of the day, it takes time to input the information so that they have that baseline. Once you start coming up for follow-ups, it shouldn't take as long, but that's just something to keep in mind. So let's say you already saw the doctor, you're waiting to see what your care is going to be and all of that. That might take a long time too, because the doctor needs to see what care that needs to be done, where are you going to go for that care, who takes your insurance, what medications take your insurance, the cheapest price that they can give you. There are a lot of things to take into account, and sometimes the EMR itself or your chart has a program that says what is covered by your insurance and what's not. But like, let's say for example, you order a medication and then it's not covered in your insurance, and then maybe the patient won't take it. There's a lot, sorry, that's my dog. There's a lot that takes into account to see that they give you the best care. Bubbly, stop. So another reason why it can take a long time to see the doctor, let's say you already have seen the doctor and they're going to see what your plan of care is going to be. So if you need to get labs drawn, they want to see if you're going to go to LabCorp or Quest and see what your insurance covers. If you need a new medication, they also want to make sure that they prescribe the right medication at the right dose, at the right location, at the right, everything, and the right price. Just so it takes some time, because on your chart, if you have 50 different pharmacies, you have to make sure that you're at the right pharmacy. There's a lot of minute details that eventually adds up and takes time. And especially if you're in a primary care location where there's a lot of students, where we take, a lot of time and we just want to make sure everything is precise, it's going to definitely take longer. But there are a lot of things that patients don't see on our end that are very specific details to make sure that we're giving you the appropriate regimen that, it's hard to understand. And also, like, let's say if you are on a medication and then we're prescribing you another one and there is a potential reaction, usually it lets us know, and then we have to think of another medication to, prescribe you. So there's a lot of things that might slow down the process. Or if you need to get some sort of imaging done, we have to write out the order. Some people write it out, some people will send a referral, and there's a referral team that does it. It just depends where you go. But let's say you have to write it out, you have to write out the referral, you have to write out where is it going to, you have to write down the codes, the ICD codes, which is your diagnosis codes, you have to sign it, you have to get it scanned into the chart. Like, there's a lot that goes into it, that it's like little things here and there, but they add up over time, and patients don't know what we're doing behind the scenes because they're in the room. They don't see all that's going on. So it's understandable where they would be like, what are you doing? Are you taking all this time? But just to let you guys know, we're doing things at the, behind the scenes to make sure that, one, your insurance covers it, it's the cheapest price, it's the best regimen, and it's at the right locations where, it's easier for you and all of that. So just keep that in mind also. There also could be times where it takes longer because, again, you have previous patients kind of backing up the time, because sometimes, like, let's say for example, somebody comes in for lab results and then the patient has other concerns that they want to address that really doesn't have anything to do with the primary reason of why they're there for that visit. So it's not that you're going to say, oh, I'm not going to address your concerns, you have to come back another time, but that might take a little bit longer because, when you're scheduling, you usually schedule based on what the patient is there for. So if they're there for a new patient visit, usually they would schedule like a 30-minute or 45-minute visit because it takes longer. And if you're there for a lab result, maybe it'll take 7 to 11 minutes or at most 15 minutes to go over everything. So that's something to keep in mind too. So again, I got cut off, but basically that's what we're doing. We're just trying to make sure that, if you have a certain time slot and you want to bring up more concerns, that's okay, but just know that, that's not what the original intended appointment was for, so it can start to delay, and then we might have to say, okay, come back another time so that we can address these issues at another time because it's warranted for another visit, not just like a quick question. So that's something where it might take a little bit longer also. Another thing that might take a little bit longer is that we're making sure that everything that we're supposed to go over, we already have in your chart. So ideally, what in a perfect world would be is that the provider would get up, go to work, and first thing in the morning before seeing any patients, make sure that everybody has what they need for the day. If somebody's here for imaging results, make sure that it's actually in the chart. If they're here for lab results, make sure that it's actually in. Stuff like that. Sometimes a patient comes back and they're there for imaging and we don't have it. So not only do we not have it, we need to go ahead and call where you got the imaging done, see if the results are ready, and come back. That can be a little bit of an issue too, which takes up some time. And then if we have it set where we actually get to look at that information before your visit and we don't have the results, we can just say, hey, we don't have the results, let's reschedule for another time. So that's something to take into consideration too, that we are just trying to make sure that we have everything, and if we don't, that we get the proper, people on the phones to make sure that we get your results. Because if you're here for imaging results and you're sent to the room and I don't have the results, I have nothing to talk to you about, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of making sure that we have everything in place, because if we don't have what we need to talk about, we could just say, hey, let's reschedule for another time. So that might take some time, but of course, if we don't have the time in the morning to do all of that, and you're already here for your appointment and I don't see your labs, I'm gonna have to call LabCorp or get the MA to call LabCorp or whomever, and to see if the labs are even there or if they just forgot to send it or what the problem is. And then that might take a little bit more time. So at the end of the day, there really are a lot of factors that could take a lot of time, or why patients might think that they're there for a long time. Sometimes they actually are there for a long time, and sometimes it just appears that way because, you're kind of sitting in a room, there's really nothing going on, you're probably on your phone or reading a book or whatever. But most of the time, I can't speak for every single place, but most of the time there are a lot of things going behind the scenes that patients aren't aware of, and you'll learn as FNP students that doctors aren't just sitting around doing nothing or whatever. I assume maybe in some places there are. I can't say that every single place is, hustling and busy and all of that in helping the patient. There might be some people that are on their phone, or they're just taking their time, or whatever. Some providers are just more slower than others. Some are more thorough than others. Some are super quick and they don't let you answer or ask a question. It just really depends. But as far as why it might appear to take longer at the doctor's office, those are different factors as to why. Because I think it's important for patients to understand not everything that goes behind the scenes, because that would take obviously forever to explain, and there's really no need for that, but just so that they have some sort of idea of why it could take longer, so that they're not thinking, oh, I'm never coming back here because they took forever. No, we're doing a lot of things behind the scenes. And a lot of the times too is wherever you go and the technology level that they have, because again, if you go somewhere where there's a lot of students, it's probably going to take slower because we are learning, we're making sure that everything's good. Oh, wow. And not only that, but we have to run our plan by our preceptor. So it's not like we can just go do things on our own. That's definitely going to take longer. But again, if you go somewhere that that there's students, just automatically assume that it's going to take longer. Also the technology level, like I said, if there are some places, I've been to clinicals where they have their own referral team. So all you have to do is just type referral for, a cardiologist or whatever, and then they take care of it. Some places you have to actually write out the referral yourself. If there's a lot of paper documentation, or if you're ordering imaging, some people, again, you do it on the EMR, particular EMR, and they send it off, someone else takes care of it. Sometimes you have to take care of it because you're writing it down, you have to sign it, etc. So that also depends on where you go. Certain EMRs or charts that you would see are very, very expensive, and there's a lot that they can do that you don't have to worry about. You just click some buttons and someone else takes care of it. And some of them are not as expensive, and there's more that you have to do on your end, which again takes up a lot of time. But of course, patients are probably not going to ask, hey, what EMR are you using, so I know if I'm going to be here a long time or not, because that's not always the case of why the time is increased or decreased, but that's just another factor too. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you are a patient, I hope that it helps you get some sort of idea of what we're doing behind the scenes, of why it might take a while for you to see the doctor. And if you're an FNP student or any medical professional student, that you understand that you have a lot to do behind the scenes, and just apologize to your patient. Say, hey, we're doing X, Y, and Z to make sure we give you the best care. It might take a little longer. Letting your patients know are also a good way to help them, feel better that you're not neglecting them, or you didn't forget about them, that you will be seeing them soon. If you know you're going to take a while to see the patient, let the patient know, or have somebody else go and tell them, hey, the doctor's going to take a little bit more time, they'll be here in a moment. Or if you're doing something for them, that might take some time, just say, hey, it's going to take a little bit of time to order these labs or whatever. It will, hang in there with us. Let the patient know, be transparent, be honest. Thank you guys so much again. I hope this all helped. I hope you guys have a wonderful morning, afternoon, night, whatever time it may be. And remember to always, always believe in yourself. All right, you guys have a great one. Bye.